And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in New Mexico.
John, for the next 6 months, get ready for a lot of Karen Bass press conferences where she's celebrating everything that's happening in L.A. this summer with a whole bunch of D-dropping.
We are so grateful to the Mexican consulate for this leadership.
Consulate?
Boy, letters are just all over the floor whenever she talks.
We are so grateful to the Mexican consulate for this leadership here and partnership and for choosing Los Angeles as the home of Casa Mexico. Together, we look forward to welcoming the world. Muchas gracias.
Oh, de nada. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the founding member of the Recall Gavin Newsom 2020 campaign. You can get him online at rebuildcalifornia.com, and you can follow him on X at Netter Mike. Mike Netter, welcome.
John Phillips, it's great to be here today. The weather is clear, but politics are cloudy, the usual.
All right. Well, the big news that broke right after we signed off on the air on Friday, you were there with us in the San Fernando Valley, was that Rick Caruso made the announcement that he would not be running for mayor of Los Angeles. He would not be running for governor of California. He would be running for no offices in 2026. Your reaction to that?
Well, first off, a quick plug. Anybody, when you get the chance to go see John Phillips, Randy Wang live, take it. It's free, and most of you out there have that kind of money. It is a great event, and thank you guys for having me there, but anybody could go. But let me feel special for a second, would you guys? Look, my reaction to Rick Caruso is this. I think he's doing what he does best for politics, which is nothing, okay? Because he can't even seem to make up his mind on a lot of the issues. And it sure seems that Rick Caruso, over the last 6 months, year, 2 years, has been trying to attract, so we say, a lot of attention to what he's doing without making up his mind. And he's the one who stated, and they asked him what the options were a couple of weeks ago. He goes, "What are you running for?" He goes, "Well, certainly not running is off the table." And so I'm not quite sure why Rick Caruso decided to do nothing, but I'm going to go on record and say I'm not that disappointed because I don't think he really knew what he stood for. And I think that's part of the problem. He was trying to pander, if you will, to a lot of what he considers to be the Los Angeles electorate. Most of whom are like, we don't vote anyway. We really would like our taxes to go down, our streets not to be full of potholes. And Rick Caruso was concerned with talking about other issues. And I think he finally figured out, maybe I picked the right career to begin with.
Here's what I don't understand. He was fanning the flames of the rumor that he was going to run for governor of California. I have not heard him weigh in on any of the issues that will face the next governor. I haven't heard him give his opinion on the bullet train. I haven't heard him talk about the state budget. I haven't heard him talk about homelessness, statewide at least. I haven't heard him talk about certainly any of the expected initiatives on the ballot in 2026. He does spend a lot of time talking about LA issues. He talks about the fires a lot. He talks about the Olympics. He talks about fully funding Prop 36 in the context of making retail theft go down in Los Angeles. He seems to really care about LA and LA subjects, but he certainly doesn't spend a lot of time talking about California issues in terms of a statewide context. Why do you think he was, I guess, moving in that direction, running for governor of California, when he would be dealing with subject matter that he doesn't appear to care about?
I think the biggest problem, including probably 35 of the 38 or so people running for governor, is they've never been up and down the state actually working on it. We care about. Look, again, Rick Caruso's great in Los Angeles. if you're worth $10 billion.
I think we're losing you, Mike.
I think we're going to have to call Netter back.
All right, let's get him back on the line. We've had bad luck with cell phones lately.
Well, we've discussed this. Technology for everything is getting better. Cell phone quality is only getting worse.
It's just two cans and a string now.
Yes. In fact, that sounded better when we were just doing that.
You know what's funny is I have the new iPhone that's coming in, and I had a not so ancient iPhone before that. And for the most part, I get pretty good reception, with the exception of where I live.
I'm back.
At my house, I have a very difficult time getting reception. Everywhere else, okay. All right, it looks like we have Netter back.
Yes, I had a feeling Rick Caruso just bought your phone system. But let's put it down for a second. I was starting to say is I don't know how much of this got heard or not, is working in the state and getting really educated on the issues from the people's point of view, not just Los Angeles issues, didn't seem something that Rick Caruso probably was willing to take the time to do. It sounds just like it sounds good to Gavin. He looks in the mirror and goes, I'd look good as president. There's a lot of issues involved there, Newsom, that you've never been exposed to. And Rick Caruso, when it comes to the state of California, to your point, John, there are a lot of issues you need to read up and be educated on, be able to talk about them intelligently, and that is of work. And I don't know that Rick was willing to put in those reps.
I'll tell you something else that I think happened here. I think that the consultant class looked at him as a mark and decided that whether he was going to run or not, we had to convince him that he was a viable candidate for office. So that way you'd be put on the payroll and get your retainer and do those sorts of things. And you can make money off of him, even if he doesn't put his name on the ballot.
Yeah, look, I talked to him. He had a campaign team I talked to a couple times for various things, still, quote, on reader. And again, I'm going to say that the campaign team, and I was one that was talking to the campaign team since he's been actually running for anything even at that moment. That's a good point. And again, when you've got as much money as Rick Caruso and the sharks start circling, if you will, again, it comes down to how do you spend $100 million in Los Angeles for that vote? You would think that he would some, and, really good. No.
All right, let's try one more time to get a clean line because you're cutting in and out, and I cannot understand you.
Okay.
Whenever you're talking to someone on a line that's not good, I feel like I'm having multiple strokes.
I love this business. We're still using the most antiquated way possible to do interviews. And it constantly has problems. And we all just kind of shrug our shoulders and say, yeah, it'll be fine.
All right, let's give it one more try. Netta, you're back?
I'm back, and I turned the Wi-Fi off. Maybe that's the problem. Who knows? I don't know what you heard again when I said, John, sorry about that, but I said I think he's surrounded by a lot of people, to your point, that tell him he's great, take his money, but it's the candidate themselves that a lot of times has to do the work. It's not like running a shopping center where you could go back. He actually had to run as a candidate. I think that's a challenge for him. And I don't think, frankly, he surrounded himself with good policy people like many people who need to run for mayor or governor of California.
All right, let's shift gears here and talk about Gavin Newsom, because Gavin is doing everything that he can to gain national attention because he wants to run for president. He's in Davos right now, where apparently he's going to excoriate Donald Trump in front of the international community. Before he got on the plane and went to Europe, he did a podcast interview with Ben Shapiro where he got lit by the left over that interview, where Gavin is a guy, or at least he comes across to me as someone who really doesn't have many core beliefs. If Gavin Newsom lived in Idaho, I have a feeling he would be the Republican governor of Idaho looking to run for president on the right side of the aisle. But because he came from the Bay Area, he's running as a Democrat and as the governor of California. In the interview with Ben Shapiro, it didn't matter what subject came up, whether it was ICE or transgendered athletes or whatever. He would end up agreeing with whatever it was that Ben Shapiro said. Ben Shapiro is a professional debater who has traveled to just about every college campus in America and debated all the college students, debated other professional pundits at various forums. And Gavin Newsom brought a knife to a gunfight and was not equipped to deal with someone like him. And he ended up just agreeing with everything he said. And people on the left went nuts over that. So Gavin did get the national attention that he was looking for, albeit it wasn't positive attention. What do you make of Gavin's strategy to try to continue to put himself on a national and international stage, attracting whatever attention he can, whether it's positive or negative?
Well, first off, two things. And the first one you said I thought was the most telling. Gavin Newsom, like if you need some cheap entertainment tonight, watch his speech, not even speech, reporters around him in Davos this morning, where he's talking with no interruption. Gavin Newsom, to your great point, when he actually has to face someone who has a different point of view, kind of folds and says, maybe I was wrong, I didn't agree with Kamala Harris. He's not good when he has to exchange ideas and someone challenges him. And I think when he gets on the national stage, he's going to get eaten alive. I think one of the most telling things, though, out of that Ben Shapiro interview is when he was talking about transgenderism, when he said, look, it's a small group of people. Why is everybody talking about it? That's kind of our point, Gavin. Why is that driving so much of the left's agenda when it's a small group of people? And I felt like I can call in Ben Shapiro's show at that point and saying, Gavin, you're driving that conversation, and that's exactly the point everyone has. A small group of people is driving your conversation, how you're running the state, taking a lot of our bandwidth, having to protect our kids at school. And Gavin not only folded, but Shapiro actually, I thought that point that Gavin made himself. Look, it's a small group of people that we're talking about. Why is everybody picking on them? Because you're drawing attention to them. Newsom, you're trying to force this down everybody's throat because somebody is telling you to do that. Because apparently, not only can Gavin not argue in an open forum, I've got a feeling, John Phillips, Gavin Newsom doesn't do a very good job of arguing in a closed room with his own Democratic friends on the extreme left.
I kind of get the impression, going back to our conversation about Rick Caruso, that Gavin is going to have the similar problem, which is inauthenticity. I get the impression that Gavin Newsom doesn't care one way or the other about the transgender issue. I get the impression that Gavin Newsom doesn't care one way or the other on any number of issues that mean a lot to people on the left. He's a gentry class winemaker who looks in the mirror and sees a president, and he wants to end up there. Outside of that, he doesn't really have strong opinions on anything. And it seems like voters, while flawed, have a good ability to sense that. And if you're a Democratic primary voter and you want someone who's going to come in with the hot hate of 1,000 suns for Donald Trump, you're going to look for someone who legitimately feels that way and is not just reading the lines from a script that was given to them.
Yeah, we could jump right to the wealth tax, for example. Gavin Newsom, he comes out against the wealth tax, but he really doesn't threaten the wealth tax. And that's the point where the left is even going, the people on the right, the middle, what does Gavin stand for? Gavin Newsom, and I'm jumping to the wealth tax before my time runs out here because that's an important point I want to make. He's more than willing to have his lapdog Rob Bonta sue people to keep our taxes down. Why doesn't Gavin Newsom threaten to sue if the wealth tax goes through? He's not willing to really stand up and take a stand. He kind of talks in circles. It's poorly this, poorly that, but he really doesn't take a stand threatening to take action. And that, John, the voters in California kind of see through him. And I'm going to go ahead and say this, that I think finally, well, Gavin isn't running this round. Newsom, the last two elections, really hasn't had strong opposition. Californian conservatives are kind of falling into what Gavin's falling into. And Caruso kind of fell into. Run to the middle, try to make everybody happy. I got news for you. That's not happening. And when you do that, people go, who exactly are you standing up for? Well, I'm kind of standing up for everybody. Well, that doesn't work real well. And that's what Gavin Newsom is trying to do. And when he gets into a one-on-one with somebody like a Ben Shapiro, he tends to agree with them because he seems incredibly scared of offending anybody when they're in the room. He doesn't seem scared of offending somebody when microphones are stuck in his face and nobody is actually debating him. And that's the sign of a weak personality. This is where Gavin Newsom maybe is trying to be like Donald Trump. Not going to work out so well for him. Trump says what he thinks, ticks off a bunch of people, and he's like, oh, well, maybe you didn't like it, but at least you know where I stand. You cannot tell really where Gavin Newsom stands on anything.
What do you think is the strategy behind what the SEIU is doing right now with the wealth confiscation tax? Are they trying to negotiate something with Gavin and the legislature by forcing the issue? Or do you think they really intend on taking this to voters?
Oh, I think what the SEIU intends on doing is making a lot of money. Look, here's the fine print that no one's really reading this. 90% of this goes to health care. What exactly health care and funds, we're not going to tell you, by the way. So I've got a great investment for you. Invest a bunch of money. But here's the part. 90% of that goes to it after administrative costs are taken out, which aren't very well defined. And those administrative costs are not just the state trying to boil down the money. What are those administrative costs, and who are the specific individuals in the SEIU that are going to make money off of this? That's really what I think the motivation is. I just had put out the legislative analyst report right before the show on X at Netter Mike for everybody to see, where it states right at the bottom, this undoubtedly is going to result in a drop in tax revenues, okay? California can't afford it. It also states in there, we don't really know what the administrative costs of this are going to be. Might raise $100 billion, but we don't really know where the money's going to go. I can guarantee you that the people, actual individuals in the SEIU proposing this tax are going to be driving a lot nicer cars if this passes. And that's really the motivation, because it's not real clear what specific individuals. It's always going to help the poor. Who exactly are the poor? And where are those poor people? Do you have their names? What funds are they going into? No, not exactly, but I could tell you how much money is going in my bank account. And that, to me, is really what this is about. It's a way for individuals in these unions that our salaries are, I mean, they're going to be eligible for the billionaire tax pretty soon. You know, some of the salaries they make, and they're going to be making a lot more money off of this because they have not defined what the administrative costs are going to be, because no one knows really what the net of this is going to be. And that's quite honestly what I think the motivation of this is. If anybody out there, and you guys pay these clips all the time, really think that the SEIU is sitting there going, you know, we really want to help everybody. We're really such nice people. Randy, you play clips from them all the time. Do they sound like nice people?
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Mike Netter, founding member of the Recall Gavin Newsom 2020 campaign. You can get him on X at Netter Mike. Mike Netter, thanks so much for stopping by.
You got a pleasure.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, as you announced in the first hour of today's program, we're going back out on the road zone.
And we're going back to Long Beach. Save the date. It's Friday, February 6th from noon to 3 at Gladstone's in Long Beach. John Sangmeister's going to take care of you. That place has an incredible menu. It's a great spot, and we'd love to see all of you there. And, of course, we'll be there with Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association because we still need as many signatures as possible to save Prop 13. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors. Go to saveprop13.com. And we'll see you live Friday, February 6th at Gladstone's in Long Beach.
And right now it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
I see. Time for the California Crime Blotter.
And the first edition of today's blotter takes us to the city of Fresno,
where a mailman got robbed by gunpoint.
I guess for the robbers, come rain, come shine, they're out there robbing the mailman.
And then the mailman finished his route.
That's commitment.
For more, we go to ABC 30, Action News in Fresno.
We begin tonight with a frightening morning for a local mail carrier. In broad daylight, a thief is captured on video approaching a mailman in central Fresno and robbing him at gunpoint.
You know what's worth putting your life on the line for? Stealing somebody else's bills.
Now, I'm surprised that they would be willing to rob the postman, because typically doesn't the postman have bear spray?
The gunman then walked off and is still on the run tonight. This all happened in a neighborhood off Hammond Avenue near Fruit.
And it was just so surreal to think about that in broad daylight, that someone's going to rob a mailman. It's just nuts.
Thanks for joining us tonight for Action News. I'm Warren Armstrong.
And good evening. I'm Margot Kim. We're live here on ABC 30, Hulu Live, and wherever you stream. Action News reporter Brisa Colon is live in studio tonight with the latest on this ongoing investigation and reaction from neighbors. Brisa?
Margot and Warren, this was a terrifying scene for neighbors in central Fresno. I spoke with one whose Ring camera captured the ordeal. You can see the remarkable moments following the robbery in a video you'll see only on Action News.
You know, we're in a day and age where there's video evidence of all these crimes everywhere, and it's not making it any easier to catch these people.
Nope, but you need to know, if you're a crook out there, if you stick a gun in Newman's face, you're going to end up on the news.
That's also a federal crime where you will spend time, if you are caught, in federal prison. Have you noticed, by the way, that every time you go to the post office, there's a big orange sticker on the front door that says, warning, armed robbery at this establishment is a federal crime and you will spend at least 20 years in prison?
Now, question, and I did notice that because they want you to know that it's not going to be the local yokels who are prosecuting you, and it's not going to be the state of California who decides when you get out. It's going to be the feds. But if this were to happen, which postman do you think would be more likely to be packing heat during the route? Newman from Seinfeld or Cliff Clavin from Cheers?
It was 11 Thursday morning, this mailman on his daily route in central Fresno, when doorbell video captured a man wearing all black appear from the sidewalk. A different view shows the man with a hand in his pocket cross the grass to approach the mailman. That's when police say he pulled out a gun. And
what could this mailman possibly have had?
The penny saver?
And in a matter of seconds, robbed the mail carrier.
All units be advised, Central's en route to an armed 211 that occurred.
You know, just because he's carrying a whole bunch of pieces of mail from different credit card companies saying that they've got a great offer for 50,000 points doesn't mean that there's an actual credit card in there.
You know what I hope? I hope that on that particular day, that was the day that the mailman was picking up all the samples for Cologuard.
But it was the moment right after the mailman continued to deliver the mail to one more house as the robber walked off.
That is dedication.
Yeah, that is a guy, man. Talk about being employee of the month.
Before approaching a nearby car to ask for help.
Give it up to the mailman who actually finished.
Now, let me first drop this off. Hey, I just got robbed.
But wait a minute, that guy needs his Amazon package.
Give it up to the mailman who actually finished delivering the mail right after it happened. And then he finally, I think it all kind of caught up to him once the guy was gone.
Police say the armed robber took off with the mailman's phone, wallet, and keys, not his bag of mail. The postman.
So wait, now he's got the keys to the post van?
But he wasn't interested in the mail. The keys will only get you inside the mail truck.
Not his bag of mail. The postman, thankfully, uninjured.
It was a black handgun, and it had some gray on the top, and they took off on foot.
Do they make handguns in any other colors?
If so, I'm not familiar with it.
Although, didn't Karen Bass have like a red one?
I think you might be right.
You know, the one that got stolen? The one of the two that got stolen with her gun safe? We never solved that crime, did we?
No, we didn't. And who knew Karen Bass was packing that kind of heat?
And they took off on foot eastbound towards Fruit, took the keys to the mailman vehicle, which is parked nearby.
Police and federal law
I
enforcement.
mean, it could be worse. You could be a letter carrier in Oakland where the gang spray paint your van, so when you drive to the wrong neighborhood, you start getting shot at.
That's a rough gig these days.
Police and federal law enforcement.
Do yourselves a favor. Thank your letter carrier the next time you see them. They do a tough job.
Police and federal law enforcement were on scene in minutes, canvassing the area for a trace of the suspect seen here, who can now face federal charges.
There are some days where I'm like, if this radio thing never worked out, that'd be a pretty cool job. But you only think about that on days where the weather's really nice. When it's 100 degrees and humid outside, they're still delivering your mail.
Don't they get bit by dogs all the time, too?
Yes. Not my dogs. My dogs are very well trained. They don't even care that the mailman's there.
I am shocked. Why would he has no money.
He's our favorite mailman,
Wait, I got to hear this guy again.
I am shocked. Why would he has no money.
It is the Central Valley.
How many missing teeth do you think that guy has?
I am shocked. Why would he has no money.
I'm going to say 3.
Wait, 3 missing or 3 total?
3 total. Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I am shocked. Why would he has no money.
He's our favorite mailman, like I was telling the officer that mailman should only have to be worried about dogs and everything and not being robbed at gunpoint.
Jeffrey left heartbroken. Can't believe this happened to his neighborhood mailman.
I wanted to give him a hug the first thing I went up to him, and I shook his hand. I told him I was really sorry, and it just shouldn't happen to people like that.
Okay, if you want to give the guy a hug after he went through what he went through, don't approach him from behind. He might still be a little jumpy.
At this point, the U.S. Postal Service authorities are handling the investigation. I have been notified that there is a reward for anyone who has information leading to the suspect. That reward could be up to $150,000. You can find the number on our website, abc30.com. In studio, Brisa Colon, ABC 30 Action News.
There you go. The Postmaster General is on it.
Well, don't forget, the Postmaster General is still a general. What are you going to do? The postman's getting robbed.
Do better, Fresno.
And right now, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
Dun, 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 dun. It's the California Crime Blotter with John
and Randy.
And this edition takes us to San Diego.
Specifically, Pacific Beach, where surfers are hiding their keys to their cars in very easy-to-find places and getting their cars stolen.
I guess they have to watch out for more than the waves.
For more, here is CBS 8 in San Diego.
Well, residents here in the area of Pacific View Drive are saying that car thieves are targeting surfers, specifically when they go to stash their keys in their car.
On a picturesque January day off Pacific View Drive, there's no shortage of surfers and vehicle after vehicle. Sherry Tapp has lived in the neighborhood for almost 40 years. She says she and other neighbors are seeing and hearing reports of surfers' vehicles being stolen.
Apparently what happens is there'll be just a casual person acting like they're watching the ocean or watching surfers.
Oh, they're watching something, all right. They're watching where you put your keys.
Yeah, they're saying, that Hyundai would look really good as a getaway car.
But they're watching very closely where the surfers or beachgoers are hiding their keys.
She says the thieves are then able to make off with the cars.
Got put under the tire, just with a napkin.
That's where surfer...
By the way, this whole story is full of really bad places to put your keys.
Yeah, can't you just leave it with someone who's not surfing?
With a napkin.
That's where...
Don't put your key under your tire.
No, not if you want your car back.
That's where surfer Dylan Yuska typically hides his keys.
Now I'm thinking I hope my car's there, right?
By the way, once again, it's a story like this that just makes you think. There are entrepreneurial, enterprising criminals out there right now that are luring new and easier ways to steal cars. Don't have to break in. Just go down to where all the surfers are, and there's going to be keys aplenty.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm thinking I hope my car's there right now.
It's a long walk home, buddy.
Neighbor Haley Hilton says it's something that never used to be a concern.
You used to be able to leave any of your stuff and belongings and go surfing, and no one would mess with it.
While PB resident...
Yeah, that's not true in California anymore, that's for sure.
Not in 2026.
While PB resident Devlin Millay says this isn't necessarily a new crime trend.
Yeah, when I was about 20 years old, about a mile away from here, I went surfing, hid my key underneath the bumper, and I came back.
Also, a terrible place to put your key.
Yeah, how long do you think it takes their kids to find all the Easter eggs?
And I came back about an hour and a half later, and my car ended up in Las Vegas.
Oh, my.
I guess there was no traffic on the 15.
And I came back about an hour and a half later. And I came back about an hour and a half later, and my car ended up in Las Vegas.
The San Diego Police Department tells me they found 8 reports back to January 1st of 2025, with one being a theft from a vehicle. They say overall...
Oh, how insulting is that? They don't even steal your car, just the junk that's inside your car, but they have the keys.
Well, I think I told you the story one time. Doug McIntyre had a friend who was a photographer for sports, and he had the press passes for all the professional teams in Los Angeles. The Lakers, the Clippers, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Ducks, the Kings. You get it. And someone broke into his car and stole all the press passes except for the Clippers. He left the Clippers press pass in the car and stole all the others.
They say overall reported crimes in the area decreased over the previous reporting year.
Sure, let's include that into this story.
But 2 vehicle thefts were reported on Pacific View Drive just this month.
Oh, maybe crime isn't down.
I love how they act like it's just anecdotal, and then they go through whatever the relevant stats are, and you go, oh, yeah, it is a mess.
I know California is a big state, and there are a lot of people here. But when you look up how many cars are stolen just in Los Angeles every single day, the number will shock you.
They say only some of the reports are seemingly associated with surfers and their vehicles. However, the SDPD sergeant I spoke with says he previously worked beach teams in the area and says he knows there have been instances where a surfer's key was discovered by thieves and their vehicle or items were thus stolen.
People are predatory.
For someone who's been through this before, Millay has this advice for his fellow surfers.
If you can do it, put it inside your wetsuit in a little pocket, a little hide pocket. That's the way to go. Don't keep them around your car because people are watching.
Meanwhile,
just make sure that's a really secure wetsuit.
Oh, yeah, because then If it gets out, it might end up somewhere in Catalina.
Well, and you got to realize nowadays almost every car is opened by a key fob, not even necessarily a physical key. So if that thing gets wet, it's not going to work.
That's true.
Meanwhile, the San Diego Police Department says that they just encourage surfers to make sure that they're securing their vehicle and, of course, their keys. For now, reporting in Pacific Beach, I'm Steffi Roche, CBS 8.
So there you go. Surfers are getting their cars stolen in PB.
And Randy, it's time to reopen the blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
I know.
We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
It's the California Crime Blotter.
And surprise, surprise, we're having more problems at the 7-Eleven.
This time, it's the 7-Elevens in Anacrime. For more, here's CBS LA.
And new at 5, a string of 7-Eleven robberies in LA and Orange County is happening before dawn. CBS LA's Michelle Geely shows us police believe it's the same crew of robbers, and they got away with cash and more.
Well, you do it once, you realize you can get away with it. Of course, you're going to do it 10 more times throughout the night.
And at a certain point, when you're really confident, you take a Slurpee on the way out, too.
Oh, just wait till the end of the story.
A robbery crew vaulted over a 7-Eleven counter in Anaheim Monday morning and stole cash drawers, police say. The same crew is responsible for crimes at several other convenience stores, according to authorities. One involved a knife.
So the suspect had brandished a knife to him. The employee had his cell phone in his hand. In fear of getting stabbed or hurt, the employee gave the suspect his phone. In addition to the cash drawers, the suspect had also taken the employee's phone as well.
2 7-Elevens were hit on East La Palma Avenue in Anaheim around 1:30 a.m. Officers say at least 3 others.
I do not know how 7-Eleven makes money. There must be one hell of an upcharge on cigarettes.
Well, and what could an old cell phone possibly be worth?
Well, you don't steal the cell phone because you're going to sell it. You steal the cell phone so they can't call the cops.
I see.
Officers say at least 3 others in Brea, Santa Ana, and East LA were robbed before dawn by a group of men.
I'm going to guess they started in East LA.
That would be my guess.
In a light-colored sedan. Security videos show them storming in and heading straight for the money.
They seem very comfortable walking inside to each one of these stores. Hooded sweatshirts, their face are covering. Some of them are wearing gloves. It's immediate. As soon as they enter the store, it's straight to the cash drawers. They know what they want.
They're not browsing first?
No, they're not taking a look at the Slim Jims to make sure they're not expired.
Police say evidence was left behind from the pair of Anaheim robberies. A couple of minutes after the second robbery, about a mile from that 7-Eleven, people in this neighborhood here at Dutch Drive and Plantation called the police. They said that they saw a group of men throwing things out of the car. When officers got here, they found some cash drawers in the middle of the street.
So they're litterers, too.
Boy, they don't follow any rules.
Well, I got to imagine after robbing so many 7-Elevens in one night that you run out of room in the getaway car. So you're going to have to start dumping some cargo.
So you just leave it like breadcrumbs?
Along with some coins and dollar bills.
Hopefully a lot of us have cameras around here, so hopefully we were able to get some kind of identities or some information that they need. So, but like I said, they were asking questions today, seeing what we knew about it.
Police say the thieves who have not been caught grabbed more than cash. In one of the videos, they're seen running out with bags of chips and a slice of pizza.
They stole chips and pizza too?
They stole that 7-Eleven pizza that has been sitting in the warmer for 8 hours.
Well, they deserve what's coming to them next.
In Anaheim, Michelle Geely, CBS LA.
There you go, the Anacrime 7-Eleven crime spree.
And again, Randy, I agree with you. I don't know how they keep any of them open.
If the cashier is dummy.